Hello and welcome to Free Range American Podcast. This is one of our special episodes where we go solo. We're going to do a number of these because myself, Matt, Evan, Logan all have, certain guests that kind of match our background, match our interests and stuff like that. So we're going to treat you guys to a couple solo interviews where it's just one of us interviewing somebody we like, appreciate, respect, adore. It is your good looks that kind of lead me to a lot of the nice things I'm saying about my guest right now. But we have a lot of weird intertwined history. I am currently on the phone with Mr. Garand Thumb.
Garand.
If you are in the firearms community, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. He's one of the top. I would say you're like a T&E YouTuber, correct? More so information.
I think that's a good way.
How would you classify it?
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
I would describe it as a dude making videos in his basement. We'll put it at that tier right there.
Yeah, but you know what? Like you and I had that conversation yesterday. If you know how to do it right, you know how to do it right.
Dude, that is a fact right there.
So, let's get into the first part since we're using your
Let's do it.
Your Instagram and your YouTube and your online handle. Where does the name Garand Thumb come from?
Yeah. That's a great question. So I guess what it comes down to is when way back when I started this channel, I had no idea where this was going. And at the time, I had just bought a Garand, and I thought to myself, what a great rifle. I think I'll do an entire channel about shooting the Garand fast and in different situations and competition, and it's going to be super sick.
Well, no one was doing it at that time. No one was.
No one. And you know what? To be clear, I don't think anybody is really doing that. No. But I think it's definitely a very, very small subset of people who watch that. But yeah, that idea didn't pan out because I quickly realized that people didn't want to watch a guy only shoot a Garand for all time and eternity on YouTube.
You can't make 300 videos out of that. I mean, you could, but
you could. No one's going to watch, and so I made the channel, and the name sucked because in many ways, people just love the Garand, and they love the history behind it. It's such an American
very
rifle.
Historical.
So
there's a lot
when you see the name,
personal connection.
Very historical. Oh, absolutely. And what's funny is not everyone knows what Garand Thumb stands for, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah,
because,
okay, so we got the M1
knowledge.
Garand. You're doing doing it. You start your channel in the beginning, like we all do in the beginning. We don't know where this is going.
Of course.
I catch a lot of shit for my
idea.
My Xbox handle because nobody gets it. But
is it?
I've had it for like 15 years, both on PlayStation Network, and it's Unknown Henson 62. So Unknown Henson
what is it?
He's a character that doesn't necessarily exist.
Okay.
He's played by an actor, and he's a fake country music star, but he's also the voice of early Kyler for Squidbillies. And his name's Unknown Henson. and 6'2".
That is the most
was my class number for TACP school. It was Eagle 6'2". So I used my class number in it, but Unknown Henson 6'2". It's never taken anytime I'm trying to get my screen name. So it's just like, and I think early Kyler, I love Squidbillies and Unknown Henson. If you search his old YouTube videos from 2006, 7, 8, like back in the day, he used to make these satire, as this country music star that loosely looked like Elvis. And he's just totally hillbilly. Like he's like, I don't trust computers. Them are demon boxes sent straight from hell.
I agree. I agree fully with that statement. Actually, that is the most obscure name reference I think I've heard.
Like,
Not when it comes to a PlayStation
how deep do you pull? Not only did you go with an actor that is the voice of a cartoon that like nobody has ever seen, but I went with his fake persona's name.
Here's a good thing, dude. You know what the good thing about that is? No one's ever going to take that name.
That's what
like,
I mean.
More
it's
than
always
likely, you're going to
available.
sign on to like you sign a PlayStation network or Xbox or make yourself
was
TikTok with that name. You're good to go.
In PlayStation, when I had a PlayStation account, I just had Unknown Hinson, and that was great because nobody ever fucking took that. But then
nobody took it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I can't get the name Grantham on PlayStation or Xbox. Anytime I try to get into a game, that name is like, I have to be like Grantham XX69 or something like that. So
exactly,
just nice.
Okay, so where does the thumb come in?
So the thumb, it's interesting. So the first question I have for you before we get into it is, how familiar with the M1 Garand are you?
You know, I love the M1, and I believe one of my favorite guns that I own is based off of a variant of the M1 because I have an M14 EBR, and that's a Garand,
nice.
Right?
Who made it, by the way? Do you know?
It's a Springfield.
It's very close. Okay, nice. Yeah, the M1A, the M14 is in many ways, a child of the M1 Garand, we could say.
Okay.
It's a very similar system. There's a lot of similarities between the two, so I am comfortable in saying that those are very related. Now, the M1 Garand, if you remember playing those World War II games, or if you shot one before, when you fire that last round, ping, eighth round, the in-block round ejects, the in-block clip ejects, and you have the internal magazine. So once you do that, and you reinsert a new in-block, has 8 rounds. When you hit the very bottom, it releases the bolt. The bolt is going to ride forward and pick up that first round, chambered, of course. Here's the thing. If you're not putting enough pressure on that top round, if you're not blocking the op rod, what's going to happen is it's going to take that top round and your thumb and just smash it right into the action. Super painful. They called that Garand thumb back in the day. So all these guys kind of new to the Garand, the first time you load that thing, you get that thumb caught, you get your thumb caught and Garand thumb, and that's what you get.
Dude, it's one of those, but so you know what?
The name
is like, everybody has this too when it comes to something like this, is like, even when I first stumbled upon you, and I didn't know your background at the time, it's like, I never knew that's how you spelled the M1 Garand, so I just thought your name was Garand Thumb. So like forever, that's ingrained in my head. That's when I see your face, I'm like, oh, that's Garand Thumb.
You know what? What's funny is I've met people at like SHOT Show, and they'll be like, oh, this is they're like, oh no, I know you, Grant. You're like, Garand. I'm like,
Garand.
No, my name's I'm like, no, my name's Mike. They're like, Mike, what do you mean, Mike? I'm like, no, my name's Mike, and they're like,
Mike, that's normal.
They're like, I thought you had like a weird. I thought you had like a weird name. Like, I thought your name was just Garand Thumb, and it was like a weird like last name. It was like an English name or something like that.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah,
like,
no, it's
that's
funny.
Fair.
I mean, that's
people have some weird names, man.
I didn't go by JT when I was in the TACP career field. Like, so what's been funny is that
what they call you?
I mean, it was just Taylor, or I mean, my call sign, has been all kinds of. Donnie for a long time was, because I was super young on my first deployment, so like the whole Big Lebowski, like, shut the fuck up, Donnie, you're out of your element. Like, that was a constant joke. So like everybody was like, Donnie for a while. I was Cherry Chuck Taylor at the 14th for a while.
Classic.
And then my schoolhouse call sign was Pampers, because if they went
how did you get that? I want to know.
Because if they went and fuck with the students and they figured this out quickly, and they didn't tell me that they were going and I didn't get to go, I'd throw a massive tantrum. Like, oh, you guys are fucked up. You went down there and I didn't get to go. This fuck, I want to go. Well, you got to tell me. And they're like, Jesus Christ, you baby bitch, you fucking Pampers. And so then, like, that was their game, is they would try and sneak out to attack and fuck with the students. and like they would tell me to like go do something weird, like, oh, okay, and then I'd come back and I'd see them all laughing, coming back up with all the empty smokes and the ground burst simulator. And I'm like, you went and fuck with students, didn't you? Oh, look, Pamper's about to have a cry. So for those not,
dude, so classic.
For those not, versed in the firearms community, or if you aren't a really big social media guy in the firearms community, Mr. Grand Thumb is, you're one of the largest, T&E kind of informational gun YouTubers. I mean, there hasn't been a lot that has come up, in the last few years, and really they kind of all went away. So you're one of the only ones that's out there really doing it and putting out self-produced, really good content, entertaining. You have a piece of humor to a lot of it, but also, you're very good at your craft.
Thank you. That's really kind of you. And there are, to be clear, there are much larger channels than me that are out there. I mean, Hickok 45, the older gentleman who does a lot of the videos, Iraq Veteran 88. You have a lot of other guys who do a lot of great
Veteran
content
888
as well.
Still around? I remember him. Yeah.
He is. To be honest, man, I don't watch YouTube at all.
Yeah.
Because I spend too much. I'm sure you're the same way. I spend too much time already in front of a screen, and I don't want to do it anymore.
Same thing. I don't watch YouTube in our space at all, but I do like. Yes. I go down the rabbit hole on film techniques, on Photoshop tutorials, on music tutorials, on every day I'm watching a how-to one way or another, even whether that's like, how do I make lobster bisque? Like I'll just like the other day I watched like 9 videos on how to make mustard. I was like, how is mustard made?
That's what's so incredible about the breadth of information that is available on YouTube. You can literally learn from making food all the way through learning how to disassemble a firearm. Like you have the entire breadth of information. Like how incredible is that?
Well, and that's the thing.
It's insane.
Anything now, it's like something breaks or something's not working. That is my first search engine. If something's not working, it's how to fix this or how to do that. I mean, especially, I'm a big DCS fan, which is it's a online video game, if you will. It's a digital combat simulator,
if you will.
Yeah, it's a flight simulator, one of the best by Eagle Dynamics. So it's so real though. It's not Ace Combat. You don't jump in a jet and get to pull 9 Gs and hit the afterburner all the way as you twist around and fire 90 missiles. Like this is so real. Last night, like I got into an F-16, a new F-16, a Block 60 with AIM-9Xs.
Dang.
I had to FaceTime a lieutenant colonel that's a fighter weapons grad with the Viper and show him the cockpit, and he step by step tells me what buttons to push so I could at least get the AIM-9X queued up in the HUD and get and attack and fire. But yes, I had to call on a real colonel in the Air Force to walk me through step by step how to get the AIM-9 queued.
That is such a ridiculous level of realism. I've seen the videos of the guys who you'll have actual air traffic controllers.
Yeah.
Get in that game and do air traffic control.
You can buy that service too. There are air traffic controllers that for an hourly wage will practice all your calls with you over these simulators. So if you're going through pilot training and you want to jump on the simulator for an hour or 2 hours, you can pay an air traffic controller that will sit on there digitally and give you calls. So you're doing.
Oh, this is serious.
Oh yeah,
this is a serious simulator.
Completely
this is
real.
I did not know.
Oh yeah,
I had zero idea.
You dive into the flight simulation world, like Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane. That is a whole subculture. I mean, there's guys that are fantastic simulator pilots to the T, but have never flown a real airplane. But I mean, that's what they do. There are guys that will go and sit at that desk and fly a Boeing 747 from JFK Airport to London and sit through the whole thing, and that's their bag. That's their.
That's what they like to do with their time.
That's what they like to do.
That's what that's their life. That's, you know what? Everyone likes different things.
Oh,
That
I didn't
seems
know this either. There's a subculture. There is a subculture of fanatics out there that attempt to visually see every tail. They collect tail numbers for aircraft. So here's how I came across this. Is I'm getting on a flight and I see three British dudes that are talking with accents, and they have binoculars and booklets. And we are taxiing, and they are looking through binoculars out the window, and they're calling each other tail numbers as they're writing them all down. And I'm like, finally like, hey, I tell the flight attendant, I was like, something fucking wonky's going on over there. You got guys with binoculars, they're recording shit. Like, is anyone gonna say anything right now? And then that's when she like went over and talked to him, and she came back. She's like, oh no, this is it's like a game. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, it's an online community where it's a collection of how many, you have all the registered tail numbers of aircraft in the world. And now these guys go out and try and physically see and record all the ones that they can. And it's like fucking Dungeons and Dragons, but for fucking flight nerds. Like, I don't know what it's called, but I just know that I thought I was part of a terrorist plot until I was brought into the, hey, there's a subculture and a want for everything.
Bunch of well-dressed, British dudes,
fine binoculars,
conduct some type of terror.
Yeah, pea coats. Oh man! All right, so
there's something for everybody.
Exactly. You started as an enlisted man.
I did.
Tell us all about that. When did that go down?
I would love to. I mean, before we go here, what is the classification level of this podcast? Are we at like a secret? Yeah, like
yeah. I don't know if we're allowed to classify the podcast secret. I mean, you and I could argue that. Like, oh no. We're controlling who downloads it. So I'm gonna go unclass to keep us from getting phone calls.
We're gonna go unclass. Just kidding. No. So I started as an enlisted guy. Came in. Went through basic training in 2013. Basic training being the biggest waste of time for anybody going into any type of battlefield position.
I was in basic training 10 years before that.
Okay. I mean, so we're dating ourselves at this point, to be clear.
I don't feel that old. I still feel like a child. I feel like everybody else is an adult and I'm still a child. But then you say that. I mean,
no, that's okay. You're still a child. I'm like a newborn fetus, just on the ground. Just
a basic training flight in 2008 as an instructor. That was still 5 years.
I don't like it. This conversation makes me deeply uncomfortable right now.
All right, so you hated basic training. So that was an 8 week. That was an 8 week program, by the way.
It was an 8.5 week program at the time. Or it might have been 9. I'm not sure. To be honest, the only thing that I remember about it is, and I think they're still trying to rectify this, but you go through basic training and, at that time there was no prep after you got out of basic training. You went straight into the pipelines. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so the problem was you're going through basic training and your PT consists of
nothing,
30 minutes in the morning. Yeah, nothing. And then, because you're a battlefield, they'd be like, all right, before you hop into this class, do a couple pull-ups. You're good.
2013, you guys were post the giant roll-up of all the MTIs, part of the big scandal. So, like, TIs were not allowed.
At the 330 worst.
I was there. During a lot of this, by the way. Yeah, so when I was pushing the flight, one of the brother flights... instructor supervisor was dating his prior dorm chief, and then one of the TIs that I was with was dating a student that had just entered tech school as well. Like, it was a lot of shady shit. And I was just kind of like, dude, you guys are fucking weird. All right, whatever. Like, cause I was there cause I was in trouble.
This is why we can't have nice things.
I was there cause I was in trouble. So I was like, whatever. Like,
whatever.
Do your thing. So yes.
Well,
but the response of that was the wing came down and essentially removed all disciplinary training annexes that said training instructor can make you do push-ups, he can make you run laps, he can do X, Y, and Z. And so that, like, yes, it led to a dip because I had just left the schoolhouse in late 2012. So I was no longer an instructor then. But yes, it led to a dip of physical capabilities of guys coming from basic training straight into the pipeline schools because they weren't working out like they were to get ready.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going into the past, and you need to have fairly decent numbers. You need to be an athlete and just completely incapable. But anyhow, so that was my only problem with basic. I mean, besides that, I understand you got to go through the intro stuff and you got to learn all that.
Did you sign a contract for SEER going in, or were you recruited during basic?
No, I came in for my job beforehand. Well, actually, funny story. I actually came in like many others, like pretty much every other SEER guy at the time for pararescue originally.
Okay.
So came in, went, gave that 2 shots. I suck at underwater, so that was a total no-go. And then was lucky enough to pick up a SEER contract. I had no idea what it was about. They're like, the guy had no idea. He's like, they're like behind enemy lines, like weird SEER stuff. I don't know. And I was like, what? Like this doesn't sound right.
Description.
And at the time you're kind of in iPhone territory, but there's no internet at those dorms and like that. So I kind of picked it up. I was like, just anything besides getting security forces, and went into SEER, went through that selection, got picked up, went to Fairchild, went through team, and then had a really wonderful career over as a SEER specialist up until I moved over to TACP.
Where were you? Did you stay at Fairchild?
I did, yeah. Okay. I stayed at Fairchild and had a great time. I think the coolest thing about it is that I was able to get in as one of the demo jumpers. SEER has kind of this unknown but really awesome jump program. Wow. So I ended up just jumping in your
guys were smart
12 times a week.
Adding a bunch of things to your CFE TP early on before all of us figured that out, that if you put it in there, that meant you had to get the schools to be a 7 level.
Exactly. It's like a requirement. So I got to do a whole lot of static line jumping. I mean, not as much as some people. I got 50 jumps in, but I mean, that's a lot for static line for many people. And so got a lot of experience there and did a lot of fun courses, all the interesting stuff you get to do out there.
Yeah.
And it was a really good time. And it was really good prep.
But plus
you
went to BIC. You got your instructor cert.
Mm-hmm.
You probably nailed all your hours for your internship. Mm-hmm. So you've got your degree in instructing in military science. That's a benefit as well. You are a teacher.
It was awesome. I am a certified Air Force instructor. I got my little instructor cookie. Yeah. Still there. I
got one of those too.
I know you do. I know. How did you like Vic, by the way?
It was really funny. Because we were still in BDUs, and so day one I showed up fully sanitized, just name tape, stripes, and a PC. And
nice.
And
I respect that.
I was hungover, and then literally a Navy dude next to me that's like an E6 is like, man, you smell like booze. I'm like, so shut up. Like, we're at BIC. Who gives a shit? Like, leave me alone. And, they go around the room doing introductions. And I told, there was this very, right when I came in, I was really glad I did what I did because there was this very loud vehicle guy that had done he'd done one convoy security for the Air Force. So He was Mr. He was Mr. Combat for the first day. Everything was
nice.
in combat, on the battlefield, in combat. Like, and when they get to me for my introduction, I was like, oh, I'm a PR guy. I do broadcast. I work a camera. They're like, oh, okay, cool. And so
cool cameras, yeah.
Day 2 is service dress. And now I walk in it was 2008. I think I had like 26 ribbons or some obnoxious bullshit like
God.
this. Yeah. And I've got my shiny jump boots on, bloused, and a beret. And I've got my combat action badge, my jump wings, my 7-level badge. Like I'm walking in stacked, and immediately fucking loud
big dick energy coming in.
Yeah, loud vehicle guy all of a sudden slumps in his chair and is like, oh shit, I'm about to eat everything I said yesterday is gonna come back to bite me in the ass. And then the Navy dude that was giving me shit was like, he leans in, he's like, God damn boy, what, you some kind of war hero? I'm like, oh God, here we go. And I remember it was really funny because so loud vehicle guy, of course, is like, as soon as class starts, and we've got a younger instructor, so she's like having fun with us and stuff like that. He like yells across the class. He's like, I thought you were some camera operator. I was like, and I just kind of like side eye him. I'm like, no, I just like to hang out in a room and see what kind of dope stories people will tell. And I looked right at him, and you see him, he kind of judders up and he goes, what's that V on your medal? I ain't never seen that before. I'm like, oh God, nothing. It means vehicle. Like I said something
Classic.
stupid. So then for my 10-minute, like when you go to basic instructor course for the Air Force, the very first thing you have to do is you have to teach a class on for 10 minutes. And my 10-minute, and again, like, so when she gives us the assignment, because BIC is mostly just you doing PowerPoint by yourself and then briefing a room for 4 weeks. And so I'm like, so we can pick any topic we want. She's like, anything that you can teach somebody to do for 10 minutes, pick what you want. I'm like, okay, so anything. She's like, yeah. So my 10-minute was how to successfully cheat on your spouse during a TDY.
No, it wasn't.
I made everyone so uncomfortable because I'm like talking about burner phones and how to log, girls' phone numbers in a green book via grids using their initials, and a 10-digit grid is a phone number now, and you put it inside a 9 line.
God.
And she is turning bright red during the whole, and I get done and she's like, I'm now QCing your topics from now on. I'm like, okay, fine. And of course, loud homeboy, as I finish, I'm going to my seat. He's like, man, that's pretty fucked up. I'm like, yeah, if you use my lesson, I'm just teaching you.
Well, dude, you bring up an awesome point because, there is nothing like having the Navy guy there and stuff. There is nothing funner than going to schools that are inter-service.
Oh my God.
Anything inter-service is so much fun, dude.
Because Marines want you to conform to all their rules, and I do not. So I drive them fucking crazy. Like I remember at jump school, they're like, you can't call him
jump school.
You can't call him sir, you have to call him captain. I go, you have to call him captain. I can call him whatever the fuck I want. What's he going to do to me? And they're like, God damn, man, Air Force don't got discipline. Fuck y'all.
When I showed up at Airborne, SEER specialists have that giant freaking arch, it says SEER specialist.
It's a scroll.
So, yeah. The scroll. And so I'm sitting there and this Army kid's next to me. And this is my first interaction with the Army at this point. This guy looks at me and you're sitting in that stupid room with your folder waiting to get assigned. And he looks over and he goes, it's like him and a couple of the Army guys. He goes, hey, dude, what's SEER stand for? And I'm like, And I look over and I didn't even think about it. I'm like, space exploration reconnaissance engineer, like as a joke. And he was like, holy shit. Like, and he's like, what the fuck? He's like, what do you do? I'm like, I jumped from space, dude. And he's like, no way. And so, dude, that was a story for a solid day. These kids fucking believed.
Oh yeah.
That was some type of space.
The weather guys, when I was going through, were telling all the Army kids that they were in-flight missile repairmen. Like, hey, dude, sometimes the missile breaks after it leaves the jet, and I got to fix it. And they're like, holy shit. You need a parachute for that?
Look,
yeah.
How do you... I can't believe what these kids would do. We were like waiting, you know, when you're all jocked up in that stupid shed for, you know, 12 hours waiting to jump and all that kind of stuff. So they brought us out to like give us food because we'd been jocked up for God knows how long. And so we were throwing rocks, and this Army kid walked by, and we're like, hey, Army kid, like try to catch our rocks when we throw them. So we started hucking rocks at this kid. Yeah, but me and a couple like controller dudes, and we're like hucking these. We're like nailing this kid in the stomach and stuff. And this MT like yells at me, he's like, stop letting them throw rocks at you. And like they pulled him off to the side, and he was like, listen, man. He's like, don't let the Air Force throw rocks at you, okay? It's not these kids are just killing me, dude. These kids are just killing me. I love them though. I love working at the Army.
So
they are the hardest workers.
Are you telling me that as a TACP you've never played the spy plane game with the Army?
I have not, and to be clear, I'm a very new TACP, so you got to fill me in right here.
All right, so next time you are on an exercise,
okay,
like a JRTC, an NTC, a JFEX, whatever it is that you're doing with the Army staff, like
okay,
you preload them like a couple days prior, like, hey guys,
okay, 2
days from now we've got a U2 spy plane that's going to be up at 82,000 feet taking pictures for reconnaissance for us. So if you guys want to get like a company picture or anything, I once he's overhead, I could just get him to snap the picture. So you get an entire fucking company of guys out to look up to the sky while you're on the fucking headset, and I'm just walking around like, yeah, you got him? Okay, zoom in. Yeah, zoom in like a closer shot, like and then get there. All right, everybody look up, wave. All right, he's taking it right now. And then I'm like, you get that one? You get that one? Okay. Now get like a wide shot so you could see the whole camp. All right, everybody do like a cool pose. He's getting a wide shot. and then the staff will ask you for these pictures for the next like 3 weeks. They'll be like, oh dude, it's film. Like they gotta download it from the jet, and then they gotta develop it, and then they'll load it. And then they'll send me a link once it's all loaded. Dude, I still have Army dudes asking me for them damn spy plane pictures. And I'm just like, hey, how many of you dum-dums can I give outside to look up at the sky?
How many guys did you get out? How many guys are we talking here?
Oh, I got a whole company.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Three full platoons. I told the company commander in the first sergeant. I'm like, you guys want a group photo? Yes. I just gave you a new game to play.
That's I'm gonna have to play that game.
Yes, and I want you to take pictures of it happening, because all you have to do is have your headset on, and you know what to say from there.
Just go.
You could even have one of the fucking babies back in the talk just talking to you through like VHF or something like that. Like, hang on. Can you tell that guy to the north that he needs to scoot in? Hey, scoot in. He's got a good shot. Just scoot in.
Well, you have a pretty storied tradition of fucking with the Army, though. I feel this. You're like a professional, dare we say?
That is something that, yes. I mean, I was trained by the best, a man named Sven Jorgensen, who was the creme de corps of messing with the U.S. Army. He told a 2-star Army general that he went through Ranger School online. And that he had to clear out a whole room in his house to do it because he needed to create a patrol base and practice PLFs and all this other stuff. So, I mean,
no way.
He was the master at it, and it just carried over. It was like, it became a fun game of like, you know, my last warfighter when I was with the 7th ASOS that I did, and a warfighter is like, especially a warfighter with 1st Armor Division, it's like, okay, who really cares about this? Once I realized they didn't care that a JTAC was there and they weren't going to utilize me professionally, I started, I was on night shift. So I started going around to every section in the Corps jock and saying, hey, did you guys want to sign up for the chopper rides? You're like, chopper rides? I'm like, yeah, they're landing a couple Chinooks here on the last day of the exercise. People that haven't gotten to ride in a chopper yet. You can go through. Oh, yeah. So like, I'm writing people's names down, and then I built a slide for the Cub about the chopper ride slide. Like everybody that was signed up. Oh, hell yeah, I did. Like, I mean, you're talking to a guy that during a salve at the schoolhouse, when they came by my office, even though I was instructed not to talk to the inspectors, I had them inspect my elevator safety program.
Oh, God. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
So you were a SEER guy for a while. You did a lot of jumping. At what point were you like, fuck it, I want to go to AAA?
You know, I went to an exercise. I don't think it exists anymore. Well, no, it's been changed. So it used to be Angel Thunder back in the day, if you remember that. And I think it's Red Flag Rescue or whatever now. And went there and ran into a TACP and a TACP officer at that event. Ooh. And just, dude, you know what? Here's the funniest thing. They asked me the exact same thing when I went through selection for it, AAA, and I couldn't even remember his name, which is the funniest part about it. But he was super cool, dude, super chill. And he was like, you should come over to TACP, be a TACP officer. I was like, huh. I researched it and seemed freaking cool and then I got to Lincoln and talked to a couple guys about it, and that was it, man. Put in my package and
that's awesome.
Got sent off to AAA. It was a good time.
Do you remember who your AAA instructors were? Was Zach Atkinson one of them?
I do remember a couple of them specifically. I'm not sure. Am I supposed to say names here?
You could say last names.
Giovarelli.
Okay. Yeah. That's one of my really, really, really good friends. He's actually been a guest on Drinkin' Bros before.
Has he? He is a wonderful person, and I hope he has told his SEER stories because he is a legend at the SEER schoolhouse to this day.
Me, I know all, like, we call him Tommy the Kid. So old Tommy the Kid has stayed with me out in Wilmington for a number of days for us to catch up on all his antics, and he is one of those ALOs that is as good as they come. He's one of the true TACP. He's
freaking hilarious, and we still talk about him at the SEER schoolhouse. And then, sure enough, when I got off that bus at AAA, he recognized me the minute I stepped off that bus. Just remember me from SEER.
That's too good.
So it was a really good time. It was a really good time. He's a great guy. I hope to link in with him soon. That was super, super fun. But so it was from there. And then, of course, being a SEER guy, I had a lot of interaction with TACPs, TACP officers as I took
those were
the
fun classes for you.
Dude, always a good time and always super chill and just, dude, they were always playing pranks. And we had SEER kids, TACP kids. When we go out and try to find you guys and stuff, and we have our vehicles parked. They broke into our vehicle, took all of our food, and then locked our keys in the vehicle. So when we got back from looking for them, our food was all gone. They'd eaten all of it, left wrappers, and the car was locked, dude.
That's so good.
Just incredible. So I just loved I loved the kids. I loved like the attitude of all the TACPs, and coming over to the TACP crew was like just amazing.
Hey, and you lucked out on an assignment too.
It's been a good time.
Because your assignment is an awesome first assignment.
Oh, absolutely, man. I feel super lucky to be where I'm at. I mean, first off, you posted that that nice little infographic about Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
You see how you get all of them, like the TACP group there. For those of you at home, like we have this TACP group on Facebook that you got to be a TACP to be in, but it's like nobody really engages in there ever unless we start talking shit. So it's like I took all the characters of Tiger King and I related them to certain ASOSs, which is the TACP units, and I lined them up perfectly because, by the way, like one of your predecessors that is now up at what recently used to be the 2.4 STS, he was the one that made the fifth ASOS Carol Baskins, and it's because the fifth always was like acting like they were the rich proper kid, but they were really always just the same thing. So that's why I labeled the fifth as Carol Baskins, because they always held their nose up, but we're like, dude, you guys are the same dirtbags. Like, you burned down your fucking the dorm gazebo on McCord, and you all got kicked out of the dorms because you were shooting the fucking the fluorescent bulbs out of a compound bow over the building at each other. You're the same.
What's that? It's that PACAF money, man. It's that PACAF money.
It's just the same degenerates.
Classic. It started a fire. Did you see that weirdest? Okay, so people will say, I'm a Navy SEAL or something like that. They're not Navy SEALs, and it's like, okay, I could see like faking. I had a guy fake being a TACP to me, and it was the most bizarre situation of my entire life, because I'm like, nobody hates a TACP like a TACP, first off, but that's this guy,
so quick. It's what class were you? 613. Okay, you weren't a TACP.
It was super quick, because he was like, oh yeah, I was a radio guy, and then I got pulled over to TACP. I was like, oh cool, man, TACP, that's awesome. What was your class number? He goes, oh, I don't remember. I'm like, okay, well, what was your your Hawk or Falcon? Or he's like, I don't know. I'm like, what ASOS were you at? He goes, well, I was special. They didn't put me in an ASOS. I kind of did 3-week tours there. I'm like,
you're like, what? Huh? The fuck are you talking about?
I was like, this doesn't. This is.
I mean,
bullshit to me. And I was like,
I had a bunch of guys in Sumter. I was TDY to Shaw, and there was obviously this group of young. I mean, this was when I was in. There was this group of young Air Force dudes, and they finally started talking to me, and I was like, they're like, what do you do in the Air Force? Oh, I'm a TACP. They're like, no, you're not. Like, yeah, I am. Like,
what?
Who the fuck fakes being a TACP? They're like, yeah, right, man. And I pull out my 14th CMR coin, which is the jump wings that you get when you get CMR. I'm like, look, dude, what the fuck do you want? I mean, there wasn't camera phones then. This was 2006. So they're like, yeah, man, anybody could get that coin, but I doubt you're a TACP. I'm like, oh, okay.
what am I supposed to say? But it's there's just not that many TACPs. There's when it comes to the Air Force and kind of their programs, there's not a lot of us. So
yeah,
it's
but when you have two guys that don't even know the program, how am I gonna yeah, dude, I was in Herbert Field. I'm Eagle 6'2".
What are you gonna do?
Here are my instructors. But you don't know any of that, so none of me explaining this doesn't matter.
It's just, this is we're going to get nowhere, especially 2006, man. God, you're old.
I'm sorry.
So long ago.
I remember the first time I did get a camera on a phone, I sunk a Humvee up to its roof in mud and water, and I took a picture of that. I don't know where it is, but.
That's a picture that you need to find. I don't know where this phone is, but I mean, where did you
I think you missed your old op soup, who's one of my best friends, and his name is Jimbo Spreeder, old James Spreeder.
I did.
I've used his name in a lot of Vet TV productions. But he used to be the op soup up there, and him and I grew up together in the career field, and he's a riot. He's now up at the
that's awesome.
He's at the Pentagon doing big, 9E9 stuff.
Big things, doing good things.
Whatever it is they do now, Which, by the way, that colonel I called last night to help me on the F-16 when I told him that the old Spreeder was up at the Pentagon making decisions, he was like, "You're fucking kidding me." So
you're like, focus. I need to learn how to pull up missiles.
It's fun. It's fun that, like, you know, half my friends are running the career field. The other half have lost their mind due to, you know, combat fatigue.
Yeah. such. I mean, we were talking about this. It was 2 days back about, you know, you get out and you're doing this, and your boys who stayed in, I mean, they did the full 20 and they're at the top now.
Yeah, I would,
like the guys running things.
I would have just in February, I would have hit 17 years. Yeah, 17 years. So
God,
I'd be cresting, you know, hoping, looking.
You did guard for a little bit, didn't you?
I did guard from 2014, and then I finally ETS'd December of 2017.
God,
so three years of guard. That was a great decision. I loved it. I mean, that really helped us from what we were doing. My guard unit was absolutely the best. I had the best leadership. I had the best. That was the best squadron I'd ever been in. Everybody liked each other. Nobody fucking talked shit about each other. They all had a blast. Everybody had, you know, a real job. So it was like when you came to put on all your TACP shit, everybody was like, it was like excitement. It was like, oh, we get to go do this for the weekend, you know, and the commander was always amped. His name was Rad Geikus. He was an ex-Kiowa pilot. Like, he was the coolest dude. That is the coolest
name ever.
Yeah, Rad. R-A-E-D.
That's so sick.
And
what a great name.
Yeah. And like, I remember my first drill where, you know, we're doing commander's call first, and he's like rifling through a bunch of papers. He's like, we're supposed to do that. That's gay. No, that's dumb. God, the Air Force does some dumb things. That's dumb. That's dumb. And then he like looks at our like personnel girl. He goes, hey, will you just sign everybody off on this fucking stupid shit? We're not gonna sit in here and do this. It's dumb. She's like, yeah, I got you. Like, I'm like, and then he's like, and then he like looks up and he's like, oh, hey guys, it's good to see you all. It's like, I'm in the right place. Finally, I'm in the right place.
Incredible. It's incredible.
But it was like the best way that I can explain what it was like going from active duty to guard in the TACP career field is after my first weekend of my first drill, I realized that the guard ASOS was what I thought an ASOS was in my head when I was a student. Mm-hmm. That's what I had envisioned a TACP unit being like, was this close, tiny teams of just hoodlums. Because I used to explain this to the students when I was an instructor, because all the students would always ask me, what's the difference between us and combat control? And I'd say, well, combat control, you think of them like the NFL. You've got offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, you got all the support, you got all this equipment. Everything is tailored to make sure that you are ready to go on game day, that you are the most fucking trained and prepared that you could possibly be, and you're set up with everything, and then you're going to go do the mission for SOCOM, and you're going to do it amazingly because you have all the support and stuff like that. And I was like, TACPs are like, you know, the local rugby team. We meet up, you know, once a week maybe. We're partially drunk. We still play a sport.
We do it. We do the game.
Yeah, we do the game.
Be clear, we do it.
I'm like,
all the potential kids listening, they're like, "Wait, what?"
Like, I mean, I remember being at the 14th as a young kid, and one of the heavier set guys came in last on a flight line run, and one of the like Gazelle runner guys was like, he made a comment. Like, he was like, oh, hey, bro, ain't nobody winning if you can't max out your PT test or something like that. And he goes, hey,
yeah,
I ain't never fallen out of a ruck, and I'm a TACP, so that means I'm enough in shape to get the fucking job done. Leave me alone. And I'm just laughing. Classic. It was the funniest. Like, between that and like, I saw one of our guys was getting smoked by one of our legends, and he was a very scary individual. His name was Buddy MacArthur. He's one of the first soft TACPs in the early 90s when they shredded out and created the ASOFs, which the 22nd ASOF used to be located on Bragg that supported 3rd and 7th Special Forces Group. And Buddy MacArthur was one of the first selectees to go into that realm. He also, went through Ranger School as an E3, probably in the mid 60s. I'm waiting for him to throw a rock at me once he hears this. I'm just kidding. Like, he's not that old. But yeah, he was smoking up one of these guys that was a real smartass, and Buddy was a runner. And he's like, I've run circles around you, kid. And he goes, yeah, Sergeant. Well, that's because I wasn't chased a lot as a kid. And I saw Buddy get so frustrated and like almost explode. And it was one of those time frames where you're just like, oh man, that was perfect.
And that right there just seals it. Like, that's what I love about about TACPs, man. Like, it is a close knit community. It is a good community. Like, I love all the guys I've met in this career field. Like, it's just incredible.
It's fun. It is. It really is fun. I mean, I know a lot of the new stuff. I really wish that I could take you back when I came in, because to say that it was different, it was definitely different. Like,
oh, I'm sure. I mean, the pace alone of deployments was different compared to now. It was
that too, but also like as an E3, you could disappear for a week as long as you were training. There was no, I need a con up, I need you to rent a range, I need you to do this. Like, we would check out our weapons, take our TAC kits, and be gone Monday morning, and we wouldn't come home until Friday morning, where we'd wash the trucks and leave early. And we would just sleep out in the field on a DZ. We would nav, we would do radio checks, we'd set up antennas. We would camp with all of our military gear.
Yeah.
Like, and we would play manhunt, like. So we would take the C-Spot 3, the thermals, the night vision, and we would give ourselves boundaries and be like, okay, it's 4 versus 4 versus 4, go.
Oh, incredible! So much fun. Did you guys ever play with the UTMs or anything back then, or was that before?
No, we didn't have UTMs, but we got into airsoft pretty big around the 2006-7 time, and that's when we would just take all the gear out, set up, and then we go fight each other with airsoft.
Classic. That sounds amazing. So we're all using the UTMs now. Have you played with the UTMs at all?
Yeah.
Dude, always a good time. I mean, I swear to God, there's no way to get those markings out of your uniforms. Like, once they hit, that chalk is there. I remember I was driving through the gate maybe about a month ago, and I came through, and the chick, I could see all these marks, upper chest of UTMs. I was like, hey, bad day. And she was like, yeah. Just get smoked by an M4 on the way in.
It's just like, it's just classic. Now, like, you have to go through so much red tape. You have to have the plan, the con op, the safety officer. Like, back then, dude, it was 4 E3s rolling around in a Humvee with their weapons and all their equipment just up to no good. I mean, me and my buddy, who's now, an ops superintendent, combat controller, like, we used to do what we called red flag hunting. So because when we were in BDUs, we wore the Army patches, and I had, we wore the 82nd patch on our left, and I had an 18th Airborne Corps combat patch that I could wear. So that kind of umbrellaed pretty much any unit that's going to be training on the Bragg range. So we would look for a red flag on a range, and we'd show up with our weapons. We're like, hey, we're your TACPs. Who are you guys? They're like, oh, we're 3rd Brigade. We're like, yeah, we're 3rd Brigade TACPs. What's up? And they would give us ammo, and we would shoot. Like, him and I stumbled onto a 5-day mount course by doing that. Like, we rolled up. We were like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're doing this mount training. We're like, yeah, that's what they told us to come here for. Like, we were just like going along with it. They're like, oh, really? We're like, yeah, we're your TACPs. They're like, oh, badass. All right, you're in this stick.
Perfect.
Sweet. And we learned CQB and mount.
Just rolled right into that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Chasing flags, man. Chasing flags. That's what we used to do.
Okay, so now you went in to the Guard, when you did that, you kind of started doing more media at that point, correct?
No. So I was doing the media when I was at the schoolhouse, and that started around 2008. When I went into the Guard, it was actually a very, very odd circumstance. Is our CFM had released me because a year before I was going to leave the schoolhouse, the current AGAU commander wanted to create a position for me at the AGAU that was like TACP public relations. And they were going to create that position just for me to work on branding TACP and getting TACP out into the world of how do we make sure everybody
brings
knows
in more candidates. Yeah.
So that commander had left before I went up for orders. And when I went up for orders and I called the AGAU, they were like, yeah, we don't know anything about that. We're not doing that. So I then put it out on the Romad locator back then, because that's how we all used to communicate, was Charlie Heidel's website called romad.com. And I said, who wants me? Because there was a split in the career field of people that didn't like me because I was always on the internet and holding a camera and waving the TACP flag saying, look at TACP, look at TACP, look at TACP, look at TACP. Because as an instructor, I knew what kind of recruiting hurdles we needed to get over. And if I went to the wrong unit, I could have easily been forced out. They would have found a way or a reason to, because I wasn't going to stop. So if somebody was like, oh, you can't do this anymore, I'd be like, well, I'm gonna. And that would eventually been my demise in the military. So I just went out and I said, who wants me at their unit? And one of my good buddies that was the ops superintendent of the 7th ASOS chimed right away. His name was Michael Shropshire. He's one of our Silver Star recipients. One of my favorite little buddies. He's like, I want you at the 7th. I was like, okay, done. That was the first person that raised their hand. If I'm going to a unit where the people want me, I'm going to survive. So
yeah, you're going to have a good time.
I base a preference to El Paso and kind of stood up my media shop there and just kept moving forward with the, obviously I do a lot of stuff for every unit I've been in. I've remade their patches, their logos, their coins. Like I go in and I do the whole branding thing with the squadrons.
Nice.
And that makes the leadership really happy. It kind of gives me some leeway when it comes to like, hey, can we use this MRAP? So yeah, I was doing I had shot a bunch of recruiting posters at the 7th right when I first got there that the AFR picked up right away, and they used them for a while. And so that made them happy and everything. And then, I had that little cow incident, the cattle gate of 2000.
The cow incident.
The cow incident.
The cow incident. It's very famous, by the way.
It's one of the, it was actually brought up recently in the AGAU meeting as one of the most historical events of the GWAT, supposedly. I'm like, when somebody
is it really
when somebody told me that they briefed that, I go, are you guys just ignoring all the cool shit everybody does overseas, or has that just become like stagnant for you that our guys are just that heroic that you have to focus on my cow incident as
on the cow incident? I mean, it's game changing. When you were at the 7th, was Bunkley there?
Absolutely. Are you kidding? Yeah. Well, Bunkley was one of my students.
Dude, I love that guy. Great guy.
A complete knucklehead, but I love him.
He went through Ranger. He just got his Ranger tab. Did he not?
Yeah, he's doing
recently?
Great, and he's a mixed martial artist.
Awesome.
Like the dude's fucking crushing it when it comes to TACP stuff. He's great. Like he was one of my students, and then he worked directly for me at the 7th inside training flight.
Nice.
Yeah, I had
Small world.
Old Bunkley with me for a while, so I know him well. Yeah, he was he was the first person I hung out with when I moved to San Antonio too.
Oh, really?
But yeah, the cow incident happened. That kind of put me. I mean, it kind of put me on a weird radar, but then also too, like at that point, I had been in for 10 years. The current group commander of the 3rd ASOG was a person that I had worked for since he was a major. So he ran into me in Vegas like 2 weeks after the cow thing went down. He's like, "Hey, what the fuck?" Because we were at like a web tac or something like that. And the chief of the AGA was another, close friend of mine that has since retired.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, what the fuck? What the fuck is with this cow shit?" Because they were my group. And I was like, Colonel Bell, like, honestly, like, it's so blown out of proportion. Like, I wish to God that the fucking OSI and the sheriffs would just talk to the rancher, give us the price of the cow. We'll inflate the price. We'll all pay for it, and then we'll be done with this. I go, this is okay. Yeah, it was a stupid situation, but does it need to become a month-long investigation and all this other horse shit that's going on with it? I'm like, I mean, they came to our unit. OSI came to our unit with a dog team.
No way.
With a dog team. What are you looking for?
Why?
Did we hide cow parts? Like, is this a cow smuggling ring? Like, is it like they knew? And that's what blows my mind is there's so much waste in this fake bullshit because OSI is like, oh my God, we have the murder mystery of our year right here. We have to go ham.
The great cow event.
So you're sweeping the squadron with a dog team because a cow was killed on an FTX. What are you
amazing? What
are you fucking finding? Like we're smuggling cow parts? Like so it's just and it was funny because
cow meat.
I think that conversation I had with the chief and the colonel in Vegas kind of changed their tune a little bit because I was just like, dude, are you serious? Like, are you surprised, number one, that a young guy fucking shot a cow? Like, are we surprised? Like, TACPs are fucking retards. Like, we're Mongols. And yes. Ooh,
well, there's two types of TACPs. You're strong and you're smart TACPs. Never both.
Yeah, and generally the smart ones work in para ops and upstairs in scheduling. Oh man. So yeah, it was just I think that kind of helped my case that I was always like I never placated into it and I was kind of approaching the whole situation at a common sense level. And I think for whatever reason, the commander at the time, like, I mean, he wasn't giving me shit about it. He was just like, okay, well, I mean, I ended up getting an LOR for it, but my LOR got expunged from my record because Congress voted to have it deleted. So there's
they didn't. Did they really?
Oh, I'll send you a picture after we get off the phone of
my God
signed congressional letter of exoneration from the cow incident.
The legend grows deeper. Incredible.
So, I mean, to make a long story long, like the CFM had then authorized me to Palace Chase and leave active duty early because the Guard West Coast recruiting command that was part of Washington State. The guy in charge of that command was really good friends with the chief of the 116th. And the chief of the 116th a year prior had said, hey, if we petition the governor for a position, an additional position in the Guard your recruiting squadron to be a battlefield airman recruiter, can we have that position and can we fill it? And the chief over there was like, absolutely. So the chief at the 116th petitioned the state. They got this new billet created. And then I had applied and competed and won that position to be the entire West Coast battlefield airman recruiter for the Air National Guard. And at that time, that encompassed pararescue, combat control, EOD, TACP, and SEER. So I got to recruit for all those career fields. And I had all these things lined up ready to go. And everything was, and the guy that I was working for, the chief of that recruiting squadron, was the coolest dude on the planet. And he was like, all of my ideas, he was like, holy shit, I've never heard anybody try this. We're going to do this. Like I told him, I was like, dude, I'm going to fly to LA and I'm going to hold briefings inside LA SWAT and LA County and sheriffs. And I'm going to places of people that are already tactical, and I'm going to start recruiting them to be our operators. And he was like, perfect. This is a fucking great idea. So like, I already had all these plans and shit like that. So him and I had communication every week. And November of 2017, November 3rd, or of 2014, I ETS'd from the Air Force. Turned my ID card in. I am done. I am out. Now, my report date to Washington was December 3rd. And I get
pretty quick.
Well, that's a month. It's 30 days. My household goods and stuff were scheduled like 2 weeks from then to get picked up, and I was going to move to Washington. Well, I get a phone call that day, November 3rd, and it's somebody I don't know. It's a senior master sergeant that introduces himself, and he's like, I'm such and such. I'm now in charge of the recruiting out here in Washington. I was like, okay, where's the chief? And he's like, oh, the chief died at his PT test.
Oh God.
And no way. I was like, oh my God, really? He's like, yeah, he did. He's like, oh, so anyway, like, where are you? And I was like, I'm in El Paso. He goes, well, you're supposed to be here today. I go, no, my report date is December 3rd. And he goes, absolutely not. Like, you need to be here today. And he started being an asshole to me. And I was like,
Jesus.
I was like, well, hey, let me call you back in a minute. Like, cause again, I'm in El Paso right now. It's like noon. I literally just turned my ID card in and drove home. I was actually eating lunch with Leo Jenkins, the Ranger author. He was in town for a couple days. And, so I call him back and I was like, couple questions real quick. You're now in charge. He's like, yes. I go, I imagine I'm no longer going to be the battlefield airman recruiter. He goes, oh no, you're just a normal recruiter. I'm like, okay. Oh. And here was this was a deal too that I had worked out with the old guy that was in charge. Is that next October, I had to film Range 15, so I needed 30 days off, and he approved. Yeah. He approved that upon like me coming. He was like, yes, you will get that time to go do the movie. I go, and I expect you won't be giving me 30 days off next October. He goes, what? No, absolutely not. I'm like, I got to film a movie. He's like, no, absolutely not. I go, okay, I'll call you back. So I call the 116th, the chief over there, and I was like, hey, can you enlist me in the traditional guard right now? And he was like, yeah. So they faxed me the paperwork. I sign it, fax it over. We like do a FaceTime or speakerphone call. I do the oath, and then they stamp my shit. And so that guy calls back, because I never call him back, at like 6 o'clock. He's like, did you get a flight? You better be here tomorrow morning. I was like, oh, no, I won't be there at all. He goes, excuse me? I go, yeah, I enlisted in the traditional guard today with the 116th, and my boss is this chief, so... You want anything, you can go ahead and call him. And this dude's like, rah, 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 hangs up the
phone. Dude, how he died? What is life?
The like coolest dude.
That is crazy.
That had the greatest fucking like. He had the most open mind to new ideas, which is what I need in leadership, because new ideas is what I specialize in. And it was like I had a dream. I had a dream job lined up, but I mean, blessing in disguise, because literally later that, like at the beginning of that month, is when Evan had started pressing us to make coffee, and things kind of just took a different turn. Then
it took off. What? How come you never went into the 13 Lima program? What made you not do that?
Well, I mean, a number of things. I do not want to waste any time going to college anymore, ever. There's that.
Yeah, I do. I understand that.
Want a 4-year degree. And then number 2, OCS. Like, I don't want to go to OCS. I'm not going to listen to a bunch of fucking, like, I was a fucking TACP instructor. I'm not gonna go and play these like stupid.
Yeah, you're not gonna go back
Monday. And then again, like they're not even like. Also, too, it's like I don't agree with the way that they handle us to begin with. They would be like, oh, you got to go through AAA. What about the 15 years I was a fucking TACP? There's my selection, dumbass. Like, all of you know me. Do you want me to be an officer or not? If you just say no, and then I just won't even try. But to make me go back through AAA and that bullshit, that's just stupid. It's like, it's an arbitrary selection process for somebody that obviously it's been doing the job for fucking 15 years. What else? What other more selection do you want?
Yeah. I did. Dude, and I hate to do a quick aside, but dude, you bring up a really good point with college, man. How many kids have you seen go the traditional college route when it wasn't even for them, but it's like a cultural norm expected? Dude, that's what blows my mind too. You know, that college is like an expected thing.
My disdain with it comes from the fact that I got out of TACP school, I went to jump school. I got out of jump school, I went to SEER, and I'm from Washington State. So upon me getting out of SEER and like walking out into your leave, your RAP, you know, your recruiter's assistance and your leave for the first time after going through basic training, TACP, jump, SEER, I'm now on leave. All my friends are going to Washington State University. So I jump in a car, roll over to Pullman 30 minutes later, and I spend a week out there and I watched what my friends were doing while I was doing what I was doing. And I was like, there's no fucking way. Just because you can do homework on arbitrary fucking subjects and you're going to write a paper on this historical event or this philosophy or this, I'm like, this translates to nothing. Like, absolutely nothing. Yes, it might cater to making you a legible writer to where you can formulate sentences, and it works on your communication and your personal skills with people because you're still kept in a social setting. But when you compare the 24-year-old me that had been to combat twice at that point, that both one an 8-month trip, the second a 10-month trip, as my second trip being a JTAC, being a leader in a battalion, and now you're going to show me my counterpart that went to high school with me that just got out of 4 years of college. You're going to tell me that guy possesses more education and leadership than me? No, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, dude, and isn't it so hard to? I'm
very anti the current.
That experience is where it's at.
I'm very anti like. The way that our rank structure works in the U.S. military is outdated by a couple hundred years. Like, we created the officer corps based on
at a different time.
Well, it was officers were educated people that could read and write, that therefore could keep records, could maintain records, and could keep accountability of your soldiers. Like, all right, well, now that that's over, why the hell haven't we graduated to a progressive rank structure and say, guess what? Everybody has to do 2 years. Upon 2 years, look at the way Germany does it. Germany has, 7 enlisted ranks. At your 6th rank, you're allowed to choose your path if you want to become an officer. Well, guess what? How much does the military climate change if everybody had to do their private time?
Was it enlisted prior?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I love the way I did it. I loved having been enlisted first. I cherish my time as an enlisted guy because it gives you really good insight.
It gives you perspective. It gives you. I mean, if anything, it teaches you the fucking loopholes because you were doing them. So now you make a better officer because you know when you're being bullshitted. Hey, you're bullshitting me.
I'm like, oh, I know exactly what you're doing right now.
I mean, that was one of the things, I was, and I mean, this isn't very well known, but I was one of the big advocates back in 2005 for creating the 13 Lima program. And I aided
no way.
A guy that used to work for the House of Representatives in the state of Kansas. He was one of the guys really pushing a white paper on creating the officer corps for TACPs. And I had a role in that, and I was all for it. And it was funny because
that's really cool.
It was not a popular opinion then. And then if you ever go back and you talk to some of the original, the first 13 Limas that went through, and they'll tell you, like, I glued them to me. So once they graduated tech school, because
Really?
back then the pipeline was for them was over almost a year and a half. So once they graduated tech school, they still lived in Herbert Field for a year, and I made them hang out with me all the time, and I would just tell them, this is a problem that we faced here. This is a problem that we faced here. This is issues that you have with Army staff that changes out every 2 years. This is how this, and like, so there's guys like Captain Keeley, or I'm sorry, I say Captain Keeley's Colonel Keeley now. He's in charge of the
Colonel Keeley now.
But yeah, he was one of the guys that was just like, as much time that he would spend with me, I would just sit with these guys and I would tell them every story, every problem. And then I even would introduce them and put them on the phone with, you know, when they were going through the course, like I would have the 13 Limas interview famous TACPs like Lee Blackwell. Like, hey, I remember,
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
I had set Amico and a bunch of other guys up and said, hey, you guys are going to call this dude and he's going to tell you the story of Ray Lozano firsthand. And then he's going to talk to you about, you know, how
awesome.
important your role is going to be for us as you grow up through the ranks being a 13 Lima. So that was something I took super to heart because I knew this was the only way that we would actually get progressive change, was raising these guys right and making sure that they were invested from the beginning.
Well, you bring up a really good point, and I don't mean to sidetrack this, but there's so many great stories in the TACP community, you know, of stuff that has been done. Has there been any I don't know, effort to preserve this, to video these interviews, do like a professional interview and hear these stories and get these documented?
Yeah,
you know?
So I've had that. I mean, myself and Alex Miller's used to be a TACP. He's now a combat controller in the Guard. But a lot of people know Alex. Mm-hmm. He was the co-director on Not a War Story. He's produced a lot of Matt's serious videos that you see, like the I Choose Life series. Like Alex produced that. So
yeah.
I drug him into
great work.
I drug him into filmmaking with me, and he ended up going to film school in Sacramento and graduating. And, you know, he does film on the side, and he does a lot of really cool projects for Coffee or Die. He works with Marty Scovelin, and he did a really, really cool piece recently on this Iraqi radio DJ that was anti-ISIS. So if you roll over to Coffee or Die, look that up because it's a really cool,
I definitely will,
30-minute piece. But anyway, Alex and I have talked about this a while. The way that I see the best way to do this, and I feel like I do have to hurry up and do this before somebody tries it and they fuck it up, because they will.
Yeah.
But I would want to send somebody like I would need to raise about $100,000, which I've again kicked around reopening beer drinking bomb droppers and collecting money until we raised enough. Upon getting that money, the first course of action I would do is I would send a guy like Tim Pachesa, that is so well respected and well liked as one of our retired chiefs. I would send him to every ASOS with a hard drive and say, you know, give the briefing. Hey, we're doing a documentary. Give me all your footage. And he would sit there and collect everything from every ASOS that's unclassed, obviously. I'd then pay a DIT to go through and log all the stuff that we got based on video, photo, time frame, everything like that. And I mean, we've kicked it around, you know, making it a multi-part series, you know, Act 1 being TACP history, Act 2 being training pipeline, Act 3 being both wars and the stories behind them. But yes, one of my personal goals, you know, I had Earl Koval on Drinkin' Bros a couple weeks ago, and that was the first time his Silver Star story has ever been told, you know, to a mass. So yes, I do want to get these stories on camera, and I want to get this stuff told. It's just doing it right, doing it the right way, and making sure that it's of high quality.
I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, given your background and your acumen for filmmaking, I mean, you're like the perfect guy to do it. Hence why I bring it up.
That would be a dream project.
the dream project. 'Cause I don't think I can do that. I don't have enough background in it, and that's not kind of the film style I do. But I mean, that's preservation of history right there.
Yeah,
That's some cool stuff. You know what I mean?
And it really benefits. It benefits a lot of our young guys too. I know we're kicking around a project right now. Tim Pachesa and I, once the quarantine stuff lifts up, we're probably going to make we're going to go through the student handbook and like read it like as if it's a podcast, but discuss everything in detail, how it pertains to the actual application of the job. And then
that's awesome.
We're going to offer that for sale on the TACP Association page as a study guide for students to listen to, so they could hear actual TACPs walking through the curriculum, and like just now you can listen to it in the evenings rather, than keeping your head in a book, or people like that way as well. So that was an idea.
Everybody learns a different way.
Yeah.
Everybody definitely learns a different way. I think that'd be awesome. I mean, I know that's something I would have wanted to listen to when I was going to the schoolhouse. Just another way to absorb the information.
But yes, and connecting it to, that was a lot of feedback I always got from my block is even from some of the mid-tier and higher ranking officers, because we did have captains and majors go through. They said, you were really good at teaching the theater air control system because you showed it to us in a way that we could visualize it in working for us. And the reason why I was able to do that is because in my career, I got to physically work all the way from core TACP to the ASOC, all the way down to a team. So I knew what all these things did in real life and how and what they mean and how to utilize them and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed teaching TACSAGs.
It's not super complex, but it's certainly hard to grasp. I mean, being able to bring that across.
When you're an E3, I mean, you think about that, like an E3
it's a lot.
An E3 TACP though comes out of school understanding how request procedures, aircraft theater allocation, and works. Like very few very few other military people know how warfare works. When you go through 7-level school and you do MDMP, you're talking like colonel level education about how the military operates war at that point.
Think about something as simple as like the Joint Fires course or something like that. You know what I mean? Like we're talking, this is stuff that's typically not taught anywhere near an E3 level. So it's incredible that these guys are coming out with that type of information. I mean, necessary, of course, but just a lot to grasp. I mean, to be clear, like you got like an 18-year-old going through, it's going to be hard to get them kind of spun up on this type of stuff without being engaging in some way.
Yeah, and you just have to know how to practically apply it and say, hey, this is why I'm teaching you this, and this is how this helps you. So are you up for PCS anytime soon, or where are you looking to go after this? Where would you love to go after this?
Oh, as far as different units?
Yeah.
I'm going to put it up there just like you did, see who wants me.
Yeah, that's a good.
To be honest, I'm just looking forward to get that good experience by going. I'm kind of leaving a little bit to fate, but I've talked to so many different TACP officers and TACPs, and pretty much every place is a good opportunity to learn. Just a different environment, different possible sphere, different clients that you're working with, different Army units and stuff. So no matter where it is, I'm going to be happy. I'm not one of those guys where I hate any place. I'm going to love it wherever I end up.
Well, but, while you're still young, why don't you roll over to selection? Why not? Why not go to 17?
Oh yeah. We got a buddy who was over there for a while, and he's certainly sweet talked me about it, and it does sound amazing.
I mean,
that would
you
be
might
awesome,
as well do it now.
go.
It sets your career path very nicely. You get to do a lot more fun thing, especially with the way that the wars have throttled back. Like it's going to be unconventional warfare from here on out, so you might as well go to the soft side.
It does. And dude, and you know what? I hate saying it because like everybody you talk to, every TACP that you talk to, you're like, oh, what do you want to do? He's like, oh, I want to go soft. I want to go 2-4-1-7. So I feel like it's such a trope, but yeah, absolutely. It's something that I'm very seriously looking into.
That's great. That's exciting. I hope you make it. I hope you do it. I hope you do it. And then come to a graduation.
Thank you very much. Dude. So what's next on the plate for you, man? I mean, what's coming up? You know.
I mean,
like what is some juicy stuff you can tell me?
I mean, we're working on this content initiative that has never really been done with a brand before. And it's like a 4-part long form, like 4-part, 20 minutes a piece, that once it's all said and done, it'll be mastered into a full movie. And, you know, I watched the initial rough of the first part today with Matt and Evan, and it's magnificent. Like, it's going to change the marketing field a lot, because people are going to go, wait a minute, what the fuck did you guys just do? And we're really excited about it. So more details will be announced about that. And, you know, maybe we can even get you out in a cameo in part 3 or part 4 once we're not on lockdown anymore.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't wait till I can travel again.
And, you know, yes, we have our own range out here. So once you can travel again, by all means, feel free to come out and shoot some of your videos with us.
Actually, that brings up a good point. What we need to do is some helo hog hunting.
Well, I'm going to flex on you pretty hard right now.
Oh God.
You probably don't know anybody else of this stature, but I may or may not have a full case of about 1,500 rounds of Mosin Nagant ammo, and that's my Cavalry Russian 1919 Shorty Mosin Nagant is my go-to for helicopter hog hunting.
God, I don't even know how to reply to that. Yes. I think we should. I think what we should do is get the oddest weapons we can and see what we can smoke from a helicopter. Shorty and Mosin Nagant.
I love my Mosin, man. I love it. Like,
I want to see you smoke a hog with a musket. You know, like a smooth bore
muzzle loader.
Muzzle loader. You're just in the helicopter trying to jam that powder in.
You know what? That might be a good joint video with you, because I pitched this to Evan last week. And I think this would be really fun, and this would be a perfect integration with you. I think that we should study a specific battle during the Civil War. Then we have to get all the replica shit, weapon, uniform, everything. Yeah. And we have to run ourselves through this battle drill, like with everything that they had. Like, as a squad, like, we have to go through this kind of shooting obstacle course, but we are with muzzle loaders, and we have a time limit, and we have XYZ. Like, we put the restraints on us to where it's going to show us what it was like to fight with this equipment. You know what I mean? And I will do it.
I will do it, but we have to eat hardtack for like 3 days prior to, you know, just really getting the roll.
And then after we're done, we tar and feather you.
Wait, no, that's, you know, I've always found that really interesting.
I think a vlog, yes, like for us to experience what it was like to fight that fight with what they had, that's an eye opener.
It'd be incredible. I mean, I've always found that interesting, is wearing period gear with the weapon at the time you're using it, you know, because it's very interesting to see how that gear was set up. Like, how does it feel compared to modern gear? That's really interesting.
That's a part of it, is we have to walk. Yeah. Like, when we look at we look at, you know, we study these battles, and it's like, okay, these guys walked 8 miles that day. They had 1 hour to dig in, and then they got into it with, you know, the Confederates. It's like, okay, let's do that. Let's walk the 8 miles in wool, like, you know, really shitty boots, wool fucking uniforms, carrying muskets with fucking with bayonets. You know, we've got all our shit on. We're in Texas when it's hot.
You'd be smoked.
Yeah,
smoked.
And then we put ourselves through this obstacle course, like having to be a Union soldier. I think this would be an incredible vlog.
I'm 1,000% on board. We got to do all of it, dude. We got to do Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War I. Try it all the different.
Oh, that would be yes. That would be. I mean, that would be a super rad series.
Can you imagine that, dude? Can you imagine how shitty you're gonna feel at the end of one of those drills, like an 8-hour road march to dig in and then go and shoot a drill?
And oh, by the way, yeah, here's all you had to eat. It was like, smoked pig intestine, fucking, and like stale bread, like,
and like a leather bag of water.
Yeah,
it's like go fight,
yeah,
go fight. And yeah, you think about those battles and you're like, how do these guys do it? Like think about World War II and.
Yeah, I've been on a Civil War kick lately, so I watched Glory and Gettysburg and stuff recently, and I'm just like...
How heavy were those rifles?
I mean, they're big, dude. They're big and they're fucking solid iron is those barrels, you know what I mean?
Jesus Christ.
Like, so they're no joke. I mean, I think it would be an eye-opener. I think it would be a super interesting vlog. I would love to get, like, Donut Operator, you, like, everybody involved in something like this to where we put ourselves to the test and go, okay... We were used to ACOGs and 68s and EOTechs and 30-round magazines, but now we're running and trying to use a muzzle loader.
God, that would be so beautiful. I am so down with this. Just trying to. Can you imagine? Just think about something as simple as firing that smoothbore. I mean, even that rifle, the rifles that they had back then, without iPro, dude. Like,
I mean,
all
just the smoke
and,
everything is just, it's wild.
Yeah, we got to do this, and then after do the same thing from a helicopter.
Yes. Well, hey man, this has been great. I'm glad we knocked the initial episode out, which means next time we just get to go into really cool video ideas that we both can do.
I know. We gotta talk more about just everything. We gotta swap steer stories at some point.
Absolutely. And where can people find you on the internet to watch your content?
Luckily they can just hop on YouTube, just type in Garand Thumb, Garand Thumb, and they'll find my lovely face out there.
Same thing on Instagram as well.
That's it. Yeah, just at Garand_Thumb, and you'll find me out there. So
awesome. Well, dude, thanks for coming on with us, and look
thank
forward
you
to
for
having
me
you
on
once quarantine's over.
Absolutely. Next time, let's get through some Lead Slingers whiskey.
Hell yeah!
I'm hot on that right there.
So, if you're out there, go check him out on YouTube, Instagram. His videos are wildly entertaining, super fun, and obviously, we are planning some stuff in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Free Range America.